We are here again with my red 964, which I purchased a couple of months ago. The reveal video's already dropped on the channel. In the description below, you'll see a link to that. Now, I've had to park the car up because it's needed a few bits and pieces. So today's episode is about making this 964 drivable. So guys, sit back and hopefully you'll enjoy this episode. So hopefully you've seen the reveal episode where we talked about the 964 and some of the niggles and who I bought it off, which was Ian Harris of Harris Classics. Great deal on this car, but it needs a fair amount of TLC. You're probably asking, well, looks okay, sounds okay, goes pretty well too. What does it need? Well, first and foremost, these silly harnesses need to go. I absolutely detest them. These harnesses are sitting on a sort of strut bar at the back, and that's not doing anything for this particular car. And in fact, there's one of the straps from this harness missing, so they need to go. The whole idea behind this 964 is to create a fast road, B-road blaster. I probably will track it at some point, but this is not a car that is going to spend a lot of its time on track. So I don't need these silly harnesses. So recently we went over to Ian Harris, who I sourced the car from, and he had a whole load of spare parts which he gave to me as part of the deal with this car. The car was also missing the airbox housing and the air filter. So what I've noticed is when the car is warmed up, if I come to a stop, say at a roundabout or a set of lights, the car stalls. It will start again on the button, but it just stalls. So obviously that airbox missing, the air filter missing, it's obviously running like a bag of shit. So hopefully that airbox will improve that. I'm also missing the complete motor for that rear spoiler. So the rear spoiler is automatically supposed to come up at about 50-55 miles an hour. On this car it doesn't, so we've left the spoiler in the open position. Obviously the spoiler doesn't need to be up when you're driving around on normal 20-30 mile an hour roads. See, look, the car virtually stalled then, so I had to put it into second gear just to jump start it, and that is because of the airbox. Also, the biting point on the clutch on this car is right high up, and it makes it undrivable. The sunroof does work, but the actual roof lining is loose. So when you open the sunroof, the roof lining just peels away. So we're gonna have a look at that as well. Also, the bonnet pull lever is temperamental. Now, I'm not sure if it's the lever or if it's the catch on the bonnet itself. So we've got a new bonnet lever and we'll play around with that and just make sure that works really well. So this episode is about getting the car drivable. So let's head over back to CAS HQ, get the car into the workshop, have Owen strip it down, replace whatever he can replace. What we can't do in-house, we'll ask our friends over at Northway Porsche. When the car goes in for service, they can sort out some of the niggles that we can't do in-house. Other than that, it's a nice car. It is fun to drive. As you guys probably already know, I am a bit of a 911 fan, and I love the air-cooled stuff. I just love the sound of that flat six.
Seat rails need to be changed. That side's got universals, this side has Recaros, but the universals have seat belt stays. So I'm going to put Recaros, one Recaro on each and one universal on each. It was meant to be a simple episode of install seatbelts, make the car safe, easy to drive on a regular basis. I found out nothing was installed properly, so take it all out, start again. Yeah, so you're not like the thing.
This is actually better.
Yeah. So I've reclined it from what it was.
Okay.
So it's a bit, you're sitting into the seat.
I can see it's like sitting in a GT3 now.
Yeah.
You're sitting like that.
Yeah.
Because before with that, when you're sitting like that, you can see the
Yeah,
front.
I've lowered everything.
The nose.
Yeah. I've lowered the seat as a whole.
Lovely jubbly. What's
Right.
next? Roof lining. Actually, the roof lining itself is pretty good.
What I can do is, if we take the sunroof out, and then I can work on it on the bench,
I'll do
glue it
that.
down, and then put it back in again.
Let's do that. Let's do that. Right guys, I'm back in the workshop and let's see what Almond's been up to with the 964. What's happening?
Easy, all good.
So the car's been in and out of the workshop for the last couple of weeks because obviously Almond's working on the car in between jobs and the workshop has been busy. Now I know you've managed to do a fair amount, so we'll talk about it in a moment, but while it's in the air, let's have a look. This is actually the first time I'm actually having a look underneath the car. I did sort of buy it blind off Ian Harris because I trust him, and the price was appealing as well. So let's have a look underneath.
Starting off at the front, it's quite nice. It's had a fresh set of poly bushes, new drop links, some new tie rods. It looks like at some point the suspension has been changed maybe,
Okay.
but even so they do look quite tired and
that
aged.
does look tired.
But front end looks really tight, to be honest.
Good, positive.
Yeah, just saw there's a missing cover.
Oh, it just sits over here, does it?
Yeah, it sits over here just covering up the fuel pump setup. The floor pan looks pretty immaculate, to be honest.
Okay, so this has been undersealed at some point, yes?
Yes, it looks like it. It looks like some sort of a wax.
Hopefully it's not covering up
Any
load of rust,
Yeah.
because sometimes that's what people do.
Yeah.
To cover rust, they just throw a load of black
Yeah.
gunk on the underside.
I mean, in all fairness, when we had the seats out
Yeah.
and I had the carpets out, it looked really clean inside the car.
And
as
to be
well.
fair, you can't see anything peeling away because
No.
typically when people do that, you
Yeah.
see stuff peeling away.
Yeah.
There is a little bit of rust here around the jacking points. You know, it's a 30-year-old car. You're going to expect that.
Yep.
Around the back, now there are some oil leaks, and you're stepping on one there. So that's from the oil return pipe, is it?
Yeah, just underneath the skirt, you can see there's an oil return pipe there, which is very heavily soiled in oil. So looking at it, the oil looks like it's coming from slightly further up in this direction.
Could it be just the end of the pipe, maybe the Jubilee clip?
Yeah, it could be just a hose that's kind of perished over time,
Sure.
just causing it to weep almost, especially when the engine's hot.
Okay, that's going to need looking at.
Yep.
Have you taken the under tray off?
No, I haven't taken the under tray off, it's actually missing. So
Okay.
when I jacked it up.
So we'll need an under tray.
Yeah, so the under tray is missing. At the back, suspension-wise, again, generally tired.
But that looks like it's been upgraded.
So you can see the springs are different, but there's a kind of a sleeve over the shock as well.
Okay, interesting.
With a threaded housing, so looks like some sort of adjustability there. But again, tired. We're going to be changing it, I think. From
Yeah, a
what you
little
said.
bit of rust on the rear suspension parts and so on.
Yep.
Which I'm sure we can change in-house and address in-house. I also notice here it's a bit of weeping, which is standard, I suppose, even here on the underside of the engine. Have you worked out where that oil's coming from?
So I've got a suspicion that it's probably a gasket issue on the actual engine crankcase.
So this is an early 964, so these didn't have gaskets.
So yeah, it'll probably be a sealing issue for the actual crankcase then. It looks like it's coming up either from the back or and kind of working its way down.
Those of you that have owned 964s, especially the early ones, will know that if they don't weep, it's not a 964. So that is kind of
A notorious.
yeah. But
trait.
we can address that, and I don't think this engine's ever been apart. And because we're going to do some engine work, we'll address that at that particular time. Exhaust seems okay.
Yeah, exhaust seems good.
Seems fine.
Yeah.
And
generally-
even around the back here, I don't actually see much rust, surface rust. Yes, as I said, there's some of the components here, suspension parts and so on, but they can all be changed, and they'll be refreshed and changed. But other than that, it looks looks pretty good.
Generally really tidy.
Brakes, discs, have you checked those?
Brake discs look good. I even noticed that the rear of the cars actually had fresh copper brake lines.
Ooh, tasty.
And on all 4 corners, they've put stainless braided hoses as well.
Nice.
Which is quite nice.
Nice.
So again, added benefit.
That's a positive.
Yeah.
Let's now get the car down off the ramp. We'll have a little walk around, see what else you've done. First thing you will notice is that fake RS badge has gone.
Yep.
Well done.
Thank you.
And you sort of gave it a stage 1 detail on the rear tailgate.
Yep.
Looks fantastic, but there's a problem now. The rest of the car looks This tailgate looks box fresh.
Literally.
So you know what you're gonna have to do. You're gonna have to detail the whole car.
Unfortunately so, yeah.
Did you manage to fix this spoiler?
I did. So obviously, as we knew, the motor wasn't
So why
working.
are you excited? You fixed the spoiler.
Still a problem.
I
Unfortunately.
thought you just said you fixed it.
I fixed it as in it works, but
Okay.
unfortunately it doesn't sound very fixed when it does operate.
What do you mean? It's noisy.
Very noisy.
Right, I can hear inside the car.
Yeah, it sounds pretty atrocious.
It looks like, what could it be? The teeth are catching, the cog, or?
So what I've actually done is I spent quite a bit of time playing with it. It's not anything in the terms of the way anything's aligned. It all aligns really well. I've adjusted it a couple of
Greased
times.
it, done whatever you.
Yeah. So
even use some magic WD-40.
I had to do even more magic than that. I actually had to strip down the worm drive box.
Okay, he's
which
getting
is-
quite technical here now.
Which is the actual main kind of gearbox for
Sure.
it. They come sealed from factory, but when you strip them down, there's bearings and other gears inside that. And unfortunately, the bearings inside are completely shot.
Okay, so it's going to be a new part I need there.
Unfortunately so, yeah.
Okay.
So even though we've replaced it and it works now, we're going to need a new gear drive. The actual motor itself works fine.
We'll test if the actual spoiler works when we go
Yeah.
for a drive, because it's
Yeah.
supposed to lift up at, I think, about 50 miles an hour.
I believe so, yeah.
I think the best thing to do is just go for a drive.
Yeah.
Because we're
let's do
standing
it.
around.
Let's do
you
it.
guys want to see how good or bad this car drives now. So let's get it off the ramp. Let's go for a drive.
Sick.
That clutch is still
Yeah.
nasty. That biting point is right at the top.
Biting point's super high and it's a bit on-offy.
I'm assuming you didn't get a chance to see if you can adjust that.
No, I didn't.
Right, so in the car, obviously the first thing I notice is that we have a proper seatbelt.
Yes.
And so do you.
Normal seatbelt.
Those silly harnesses are gone. These are so much better.
It's a lot more convenient.
Yeah, it is. We'll see if that spoiler comes up by itself when the car hits 50 or 52 or 55 miles an hour. And we'll see if the car stalls when it gets a little bit warmer, probably by the time we get to the roundabout at the top of the road.
Yep.
In the engine bay, what did you manage to do?
So in the engine bay, I realised there was a few bits and bobs missing. So it's now got an air filter, an airbox. It's got the cooling duct back in place. There was a few switches that were obviously disconnected due to those parts missing. So they're now connected with the correct sensors in place.
Nice. Were they an absolute to install, or were they fairly straightforward?
Especially when you've got chubby hands like myself.
So obviously we got rid of the RS sticker. The spoiler's up.
Spoilers up.
The spoiler's up.
Spoiler is up.
Well done. Spoiler works.
Sick.
Spoiler's up. Sunroof. Now that sunroof works, but previously the actual roof lining was catching.
Yes.
So you fixed that. What did you do there?
Yeah, so I had to take off the entire roof lining panel, which
Take
again,
the sunroof out as well.
yeah, unfortunately. So yeah, it was a bit
Mission.
of a pig again. So I basically stripped off the original headlining material and then glued it back. So it's nice and solid now. Hopefully won't sag for a while.
And I noticed the carpets as well. They seem to be fitting a little bit better. Is that because when you had the seats out, you thought just pull everything out and
Basically, yeah. So when I had the seats out,
reinstall? Hey.
yeah, basically.
Let's see if it stalls now. So previously, when I'd get to this roundabout, the car would just stall. That could be because the airbox was missing.
So it's a lot better.
It's not stalling. Okay, there's a bit of a noise coming from the back there. Oh,
Yeah.
that's the spoiler.
That was a spoiler coming
That's the
down.
spoiler going back down,
Okay.
making that noise, but the
Yep.
car didn't stall. This clutch takes some bloody getting used to.
Yeah.
it's an awkward one.
Oh, see what I mean? Sorry guys, I do know how to drive a manual car. We're gonna have to fuel up because this is running on reserve. So let's fuel up and then we'll head back to Cass. And whilst we're in the car, we'll talk about the next stages. Yours will leave it in first gear, mate. No, there's no comparison. No. Listen. Cheers, mate. So we're just fueling up at our local petrol station, and there's a chap in a Jag F-Type, very much like Matt's, and he's drooling over this. You know, he's got something that's so quick, but even he's asking me, you know, what do these go for? What does it drive like? This clutch needs getting used to.
Yeah.
Got some pull.
It has. Just seems
Handles
really
okay.
Handles really nicely. Very smooth as well while driving.
So that spoiler should come up any second now. It goes well. It goes
really
well.
nicely.
I'm impressed.
It drives really nicely.
Yeah, this is the first time I've actually been able to give the car beans, because I was a little bit unsure before because all airbox was missing, the spoiler wasn't working. Really the next steps are to get the car booked in with Northway Porsche and give it a full service, see what major issues there are, if any, and get them resolved ASAP, and then drive the car. I know we need to do the suspension, so we're going to order KW V3 suspension probably today, and at the same time when we do the suspension upgrade, you can change all the arms and whatever else you need to do. I've already got a set of wheels from my black 964 C2 Rotiform Fuchs, which I think I might as well put them on this car, get some fresh rubber,
as well.
Put them on this car,
Spruce it up a little bit as well.
yeah. So the next episode, depending on when I get a booking slot at Northway Porsche, maybe a suspension and wheel episode. So there we go, guys. The 964 is now driving beautifully, and in fact, if I can get used to that damn clutch, I might put some miles on it. So yeah, well done, Aman. Fantastic work. There's a spoiler going down, a bit noisy, but we'll sort that out. Fantastic job. Car's running beautiful. So guys, the first proper episode on the 964 done. Chuffed to bits, driving exceptionally well. What do you think? Remember guys, this car is a project car. There's going to be quite a few episodes that drop on the channel. I am going to be painting this car. There is going to be a color change. We'll talk about that in subsequent episodes, but for now guys, you know what you need to do. You need to smash that like button, give Aman a follow. His details are on the screen. He is the one who's going to be working on this car, so this is really my project and Aman's project. So he's loving it. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, guys. A lot more content coming your way. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again on the channel very soon.